what if your ultimate military order was not to attack the enemy, but to completely vanish? Imagine standing inside a cold, dark military briefing room, listening to a commander lay out a mission unlike anything in human history. You're told you're going deep underground. The heavy stone entrance will be welded and sealed shut behind you. There is no rescue plan. There is no escape route. And if the enemy captures the territory outside, you may have to remain completely hidden in total darkness for years. No sunlight, no fresh air, just the hum of radio equipment, stagnant water, and the terrifying silence of a living tomb. This wasn't a plot from a dystopian Hollywood thriller. This was a classified, bone-chilling contingency plan hatched during humanity's darkest hour, World War II. It was called Operation Tracer. And today, we are going to dive deep into the forgotten history of the 6 men who were ordered to be buried alive inside a mountain.
To really grasp why a plan this extreme was even on the table, we have to zoom out to the global chess game of the early 1940s. The world was practically on fire. Nazi Germany's war machine was crushing nation after nation, and Britain found itself standing almost entirely alone. Now, in this massive global conflict, one specific location held unmatched strategic dominance: Gibraltar. Jutting out like a jagged limestone fortress at the southern tip of the Iberian Peninsula, it was the ultimate choke point. Winston Churchill knew one terrifying truth: if Germany captured Gibraltar, Britain could lose control of every single warship and supply vessel in the Mediterranean.
Conventional military defense just wasn't enough to guarantee the safety of this choke point, so British intelligence prepared for the absolute worst-case scenario with an extreme stay-behind operation. The concept here was radically dark. If Gibraltar fell to the Nazis, a tiny, elite team wouldn't go down fighting in the streets. Instead, they'd let the enemy roll right over them, intentionally staying behind in captured territory to conduct covert espionage by completely disappearing off the face of the earth.
Deep within the solid limestone heart of the Rock of Gibraltar, British engineers kicked off a highly classified construction project. Working in total secrecy, they carved out a hidden subterranean facility known as the Stay-Behind Cave, a marvel of desperate engineering designed to hide human life inside solid rock. And out of the entire British armed forces, only 6 individuals were chosen for this nightmare assignment. 2 highly skilled doctors, 3 expert signalmen to run the radios, and 1 team leader. 6 men, whose mission parameters defied literally every rule of conventional warfare.
If Nazi troops conquered the Rock, these 6 men would walk into that cave and the heavy door would be permanently sealed from the outside. To keep them alive, engineers packed everything they'd need tightly into the cold limestone. We're talking months of preserved rations, massive water tanks, extensive medical kits, advanced ventilation pipes, and some very rough wooden sleeping bunks.
But they weren't just down there to hide, they were there to watch. Engineers meticulously carved microscopic observation slits directly into the jagged rock face of the mountain. One tiny slit overlooked the naval harbor far below, and another pointed right at the airfield. From these practically invisible windows, the men would monitor every single move the Nazi occupiers made, and under the cover of darkness, transmit coded messages back to British intelligence. To the outside world, they didn't exist. Inside, they were trapped in eternal night.
Now let's look at how this builds from a standard covert op into genuine psychological horror. Planners did not design this cave for a short weekend hideout. They planned for this total isolation to last for years. Imagine the sheer mental anguish. They couldn't step outside for a breath of fresh air. They couldn't light a fire because the smoke would give them away. They couldn't even drop a heavy tool or raise their voices because the sound could echo through the stone directly to the hostile Nazi army, occupying the surface world right above their heads. The planning got so unimaginably dark that officials had to write morbid protocols for the absolute unthinkable. The mission guidelines actually detailed exactly how to handle a death inside the limited oxygen cave. I mean, what do you even do with a corpse in a sealed, airtight underground chamber? By accepting this mission, these men were trading away their freedom and effectively agreeing to exist as breathing corpses themselves.
But history, as it often does, took a massive detour. Fortunately for those 6 men, Hitler's forces shifted their focus to the Eastern Front. That catastrophic invasion of Gibraltar that British commanders had obsessively prepared for, it never actually materialized, which meant those 6 men never had to walk into that dark chamber, and the door was never sealed. The unexecuted plan just faded into the shadows. When the war ended, the high-ranking officials who knew about Operation Tracer took the secret to their graves. The cave sat completely empty and untouched for decades, until a stunning twist more than half a century later.
Fast forward to 1997. A
Explorers from the Gibraltar Caving Group were mapping out the deep, uncharted labyrinth of tunnels running through the rock. While squeezing through a narrow passage, they noticed a bizarre anomaly. A steady, strong current of fresh air was blowing straight out of what looked like a solid, blank limestone wall, a wall that clearly looked like it had been deliberately sealed off decades ago. So they chipped away the old masonry and broke right through.
As their flashlights pierced the pitch-black darkness of the chamber, their jaws just dropped. Sitting right in front of them was a perfectly preserved time capsule from 1941. The old wooden bunks, the rusted water tanks, the massive radio gear. It was all sitting exactly where it had been left during the Second World War. What was once just a classified rumor whispered in dark government offices was suddenly a physical, undeniable reality, frozen in time.
Even though Operation Tracer was never officially activated, it really remains one of the most haunting stories of the 20th century. It's a stark reminder of a desperate nation willing to go to unimaginable extremes just to survive humanity's darkest hour. And it teaches us a profound truth. Sometimes history's most terrifying realities aren't the brutal, bloody battles that took place on the surface. Sometimes the most terrifying realities are the chilling contingency plans made just in case the absolute worst came to pass. The nightmares prepared for behind closed doors.
So, I want to leave you with something to think about. Put yourself directly in the boots of those 6 men. You're staring at these two options, you know the enemy has taken the surface, and the heavy iron door behind you is about to be locked forever. You have enough food and water, but you have to live in total, absolute darkness, completely underground for years, without ever seeing the sun again. I really want to know what you would do. Drop your answer in the comments on which path you would choose. Could you disappear into the rock, or is it just too much? If this explainer gave you chills and you love uncovering the atmospheric, hidden corners of our past, make sure to like and follow for more deep dives into untold historical mysteries. Thanks for exploring with me, and keep questioning history.